All right, good morning. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers, and this is the daily eCom planning session. My passion is helping people on their e-commerce journey, helping them get organized, get focused, get consistent in their business. And so, if you'll tune in to the daily ecom planning session, hopefully we'll be able to help with that. I will tell you, we are a little late this morning. Woke up, got a little distracted by emails. Lesson, don't check your emails if that's not the time you're supposed to check them. So, anyway, we're a little off schedule. We will be on schedule tomorrow morning. During this daily ecom planning session, we're going to be talking about Amazon versus eBay. Yesterday, we talked about Amazon versus Walmart. And we'll go through a couple of these so that everybody can figure out where they want to sell in 2023. Today's session is going to be interesting. So, the first thing that we'll do is after we kind of go through some of the basics, then we'll get into the daily ecom planning session after we talk about Amazon versus eBay. So, let's get into it. So, I do invite you, so you're prepared for the daily ecom planning session, to go and download the daily ecom planning checklist. You can go directly to the e-commerce planning Facebook group. Once you go there, look at the menu items, and one of the menu items is files. So click on the files section, and then once you do that, it'll open up and you can download the daily, the weekly, and the monthly planning checklist. We do have our monthly planning session tomorrow, which is Saturday morning, so we'll be getting started at 7 o'clock. I encourage you to join us as you plan for your future success in the month of January. So get out your notebooks or order your ecom planner so that you can start planning your daily activities. So with that, download that so we can talk about the daily ecom planning activities after we go through the Amazon versus eBay. So the source for today's files is Repricer Express and Web Retailer. There was a bunch of great articles out there, but I just like the simplicity of infographics. I'm sorry, I just do. So we're live on Clubhouse. We're also live in the e-commerce planning Facebook group, and I'll be talking about what's in the infographics for those people that are on Clubhouse. But in any case, we thank Repricer Express and Web Retailer for these infographics that they have posted on their website. So eBay and Amazon. For eBay, per Repricer Express, they feel like the pros of selling on eBay is that there's less competition, that there is more customer loyalty, there's fewer category restrictions, and it's easier to list. I would absolutely agree. There is less seller competition on eBay when it comes to listing your items. You're going to have way more competition on Amazon because there's over, I think yesterday when we looked at the numbers, there's over 6 million seller accounts. And that doesn't mean that they're active, it just means there's over 6 million, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of change when you multiply that by 39.99. That's the monthly payment that you pay to Amazon as a professional seller. But anyway, that's a lot of cheese. Um, in addition to that, as far as customer loyalty, I think people who love eBay, they come back to eBay over and over again. Amazon is more well known. And so I think that there are customers that do have brands that they like on Amazon. But if they find a better deal, they're definitely going to go after that. Whereas people that are really in love with a specific brand, I do believe that there probably is a higher level of customer loyalty over on eBay. Restrictions, absolutely. If you're an Amazon seller, you know that there's a bunch of different things that you have to be mindful of. It's like I guess, a minefield of things that you have to get over, go through, and deal with. Sometimes, depending on your method of e-commerce. So, if you're doing like retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, it's a minefield. If you're selling a private label product, it's probably not a minefield for you, but it is still something to consider. Is it easier to list? Absolutely. I believe that eBay is easier to list on and easier to get your listings up. So for Repricer Express, they believe that Amazon has lower fees. I disagree. This is my personal opinion. I disagree. So we're going to talk about the fees in just a second. Buyer trust. I do believe that more people do feel like they can trust what's on Amazon because they feel like the big name, the umbrella of Amazon is going to do some things to try and make sure that people's experience on the platform is good. So I feel like the buyer trust is a little bit higher. eBay cares about the buyer experience as well, but they also care about their sellers. So I feel like they do care a little bit more about their sellers than Amazon does, just being honest as a seller. More branding opportunities. Yeah, there is, but it's a mixed bag. So I feel like if you have a brand, definitely Amazon's going to do a bunch to try and help support your brand and to get your brand recognition and all of this stuff. I feel like they're going to drive that. I also think that there's an underbelly of Amazon that since they have the data, they have the data. If there is a really well-selling brand, it wouldn't be surprised after a period of time, which I know there was a lawsuit, so this is a fact that they come out with their own version. So I'm just saying brands do get recognition on Amazon and they do get support on Amazon. Amazon's doing a lot to support brands, but there's also some shady stuff that Amazon does. So we'll see. Fulfillment services, definitely Amazon has fulfillment options. eBay does not. So, well, so back in the day, what was the program? I can't even remember the name of the program. Like, what was it? I cannot remember. Like you could send your stuff to a specific eBay had like these partners, you could send your stuff to them and they would list it for you and they would ship it to the customer for you and they would price it based on what they felt. I have not looked into whether or not that program still exists. I don't think it does, but I know that there were a lot of sellers that were not happy with that program because you could send something that was really valuable to them and they would price it to sell, not necessarily price it based off of the value. And so, maybe it was like a leather jacket that was clearly worth like $300,000 and then they sold it for like 50. So it was bad. Again, this was when I got started. This was a program option, and I don't know. It's probably still out there somewhere. I don't know how many people are taking advantage of it, but it was a great opportunity for those people who didn't want to list anything. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about these eBay fees and Amazon fees real quick before we get into the cons. The fees that you have to consider selling on eBay, because I feel like eBay has lower fees than Amazon overall. There's insertion fees for creating a listing, a final value fee for when an item sells, and then you have an optional store fee. Like you don't have to create an eBay store; you can just continue to sell one-on-one. And I will say that's also the case for Amazon. I will say that that's also the case for Amazon. Like you can do the individual plan, not do the professional plan. You won't be able to sell in as many categories, and there's some other things, but you could. And then there's PayPal processing fees that you have to consider. So that's some of the fees that you have to consider on eBay, and there's probably some more, but just high level, the big ticket items. Now, selling on Amazon, there's typically, if you're a professional seller, there is a professional seller monthly fee. So that is something you have to consider. If you decide to do the individual, you just have to be able to accept the limitations of the individual plan. The school of thought is that if you have over a certain percentage of sales or a certain number of items listed, that you should just go ahead and move to the professional account. So I'm just saying. The next is that Amazon's referral fees are typically about 15%. Typically, depends. There's like some categories where it's different or it varies, but it's typically about 15% with the 30 cents per item minimum. And then there's the optional closing fee if you're selling media. If media doesn't apply to you, there's a fee that's associated with that. But if you're not selling media, then it doesn't apply to you. And then in addition to that, FBA fees. Now, if you exclude the FBA fees, still, I feel like the 15% and the 30 cents and also the subscription for the professional still exceeds what you pay on eBay. But maybe it's about volume. And I know that after you get over a certain threshold on Amazon, like I think it's 100,000 listings or something, then there's some additional fees to consider. You decide whether or not you feel like Amazon wins when it comes to fees. Now, web retailer feels like both of them have fees and that they both, they're both there's a cost to sell on either one of the platforms. So they don't say one is cheaper or more expensive than the other. So just saying. Now, the cons of selling on eBay per Repricer Express is that you have a smaller audience. I 100% agree. You have less buyer trust. It depends on the customer loyalty. But yeah, I think they feel like everything that Amazon is doing because they are the bigger name, they have the bigger presence. They may be a little apprehensive on some of the sellers on eBay. No fulfillment service, we already know that. And they say higher fees. I disagree. Whereas Amazon, we have the restricted categories. So restricted categories is a con. I 100% agree. They make it so much more challenging for sellers when it comes to Amazon. Extra FBA fees. Yeah, the extra cost for that is a little more expensive. Hard to list. Their listing process, when I look at some of the platforms, like I look at how to create a listing on eBay and Etsy, and even just adding a new item to a Shopify store, it's so much easier. And I also feel like it's easier to list on Walmart than it is on Amazon. All the pages you have to go through and all the fields. So yeah, they do make it a little more involved when you create a listing, and there's more competition. Absolutely, there's more competition, more sellers on Amazon than there is on eBay. As far as web retailer is concerned, they feel like comparing Amazon to eBay that eBay has better performance standards to help the sellers in place than Amazon does. I sort of agree with that. I think that both of them have their metrics. Both platforms have their metrics for sellers. But I think maybe it's because of the volume that's on Amazon, that sometimes things are not as what they seem. So, performance standards, I think it's easier to understand for sellers on eBay than it is on Amazon sometimes. Competition and price. They believe that the competition is better on eBay than it is on Amazon. So competition for products that you sell and competition for price, that you have a better chance of getting what you want on eBay than you do on Amazon. Sales potential, that there are more sales opportunities on Amazon than there is on eBay. I 100% agree with that. Advertising programs, they feel like Amazon has more options than eBay does. I agree with that. Shipping and fulfillment, absolutely, Amazon wins. There's more options. Customer support, I think Amazon does do a lot to help their customers. I also think eBay does a lot to help their customers. So I feel like that's a mixed bag. I don't necessarily disagree with that. International selling, they feel like, this is web retailer, that eBay is a better platform for international sellers. I don't know. I disagree. Maybe. I mean, Amazon. You got the Amazon dot CA, and you've got the different Amazon dot whatever. I don't know. I feel like that might be a mixed bag. Not really sure. Branding opportunities. They feel like there's more branding opportunities. I thought this was interesting on eBay than there is on Amazon. I think, when I read the article, it's more centered around the fact that with eBay, you're not going to potentially run into the problem that Amazon had the lawsuit about last year. What lost the lawsuit about? I think it was last year or the year before, where again, something is selling like hotcakes on Amazon, and then, oh, look, Amazon came out with their version. So I'm just saying. And then you have the business model. Both of the business models, they say, are good ones. Just depends on what you sell. There again are a lot of people that will go to eBay for specific things. And you do have the opportunity to resell like more used items, of course, or vintage, or, you know, um, custom or specialty items on eBay than you do on Amazon. Amazon, in most cases, is looking for it to be new, brand new, brand new, brand new. Whereas eBay, that's not the case. So depends on what the customer wants and what it is that you're selling. And it probably also depends on your business model as to whether or not you feel like Amazon or eBay is the better choice for you in 2023. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that you will tune in. We're going to go after a couple more verses over the next couple of days. So tune in so that we can continue the conversation about which is better, depending on the different platforms. And we'll see what shakes out in the end. You decide what you feel like is going to be best for you for 2023. So share this out with a friend. Let somebody know about the daily econ planning sessions. Also, let them know about this series where we're going to be talking about a few verses, this platform versus that platform, and what may be the better option. We're probably going to also do a part 2 for Amazon versus Walmart because we really didn't get into the fees and we didn't get into the listing complexity. We didn't get into a couple of things. So we're going to get into that. All right. So with that, lost my... I hit the mic. So if you're ready to turn up the dial on your e-commerce business and get laser focused, I encourage you to get the eCom Planner, the 2023 eCom Planner. It is created for sellers by sellers. It is the ultimate e-commerce planner. You can go to myecomplanner.com right now to grab the 2023 e-commerce planner. Let's get focused. Let's get organized. Let's get consistent in 2023. Let's move differently in 2023. So use the eCom Planner to help you to move differently in 2023. If you are needing some coaching in your e-commerce business, or you just want to talk to someone about it, then you can schedule a free 20-minute coaching session by going to ecomsellers.com, clicking on free resources and scheduling your free 20-minute coaching session there. So you can go to ecomsellers.com, click on free resources and schedule a free 20-minute coaching session. And if you need some support on your e-commerce journey, I invite you to join eCom Sellers Academy. It is terribly affordable. It's $17.99 a month. You can also sign up for the lifetime and get a free planner, eCom planner. So you can go to ecomsellersacademy.com right now to sign up and join eCom Sellers Academy, where you'll get a free weekly retail and online arbitrage leads list. You'll also get a free wholesale list every week, and you get live weekly training along with live Q&A session. So go to ecomsellersacademy.com, where your success matters. Now we're going to get into the checklist. So if you didn't go download it, I encourage you to go download it now. And if you want to grab a notebook, if you don't have the eCom planner, you can definitely do that. So we can get into the daily econ planning checklist. Afterwards, since we're live on Clubhouse, we'll continue the conversation. If you want to talk about your business, where you are in your business, what's happening in your business for 2023, your game plan for 2023, if you need an accountability check-in, then you can definitely continue the conversation on Clubhouse. So with that, let's get into the daily econ planning checklist. All right. So with the daily econ planning checklist, there's typically 3 things that we talk about, 3 main things that we talk about. The first one is what you do the night before. The second is what you do today. And the third is a little bit of advanced planning, thinking about the future, short term. So you can also think about it long term. So the first part of it is what you do the night before. There are 4 things that we encourage you to do before you go to bed. One is to review your schedule or your checklist or the things that you had on your agenda to get done for the day. And how did you do? You're going to rate or assess your day. Give it a review. How did you do? What did you accomplish? What did you not accomplish? What did you get done? What did you not get done? What do you have to move to tomorrow or next week? So go through and review your day and assess it. And, don't beat yourself up if you didn't get a lot of stuff done. Sometimes there are things that impact your life. Interference. There's interference that happens all day long. There's things that impact your ability to get things done, or there's emergencies. And your goal over time is to minimize and mitigate some of those emergencies or things that you're reacting to. But if you're new to the journey, it's going to take a little bit before you get there. So assess how you did and celebrate the things you did get done. Don't beat yourself up over the things you didn't get done, but we're going to hopefully learn from those things. Number 2 is to update your daily tracking stats. Inside the My Ecom Planner, we have some stats there that will help you to stay on top of whether or not you're making progress in your business, whether or not you're being consistent, so that you know on a regular basis where you stand. Are you profitable? Are you not profitable? How many listings do you have up? What are your sales? How many orders did you fulfill? All of those things matter. And so on the daily econ planning checklist, I'm sorry, in the planner, you'll actually see places where you can write down how you're doing every single day. So go and update that. Go look at your number 3 is to go look at your online calendars, your online business, your personal and your work calendar if you have a job. Go and see what's on the agenda for today. So you're not surprised by it and you're not reacting to it. So the more you know about what's coming up, tomorrow, not today. The more you know about what's coming up tomorrow, the better prepared you'll be to deal with it versus just reacting last minute to it. And then number 4 is to build a draft schedule for tomorrow. Building out a draft schedule for tomorrow is going to help you to actually plan in advance. That's one of the number one things when you look at all of the recommendations for success in your business and or just getting more organized and more consistent. The number one thing that is repeated over and over again is to plan ahead, is to actually put together a game plan before you go to bed. A game plan for success tomorrow. So this is your opportunity to write it out. Don't just write down the stuff that's related to your business. Make sure you include all of the stuff that's applicable for you based on your life. If you are, the choir leader and there's choir practice tomorrow, put it down. If there's if you go and exercise every morning, put it down. If you got to go to your child's recital or whatever it happens to be, put it down. If you volunteer for different things, like where are you spending your time and energy? Because God gives us 24 hours in the day. What are you going to be doing with your 24? So if you're a person that's very organized already, putting out or writing a detailed schedule you don't need to do that because you have control of your schedule. You're very consistent about your routines. So if you're a person that is very consistent about your routines and you have complete control over your schedule the majority of the time, then maybe there's a few things you want to write down as a to-do and you're not going to build out a full-blown schedule. But if you're a person where time gets away from you and you just can't figure out what you did and where you spent your time and all of that, then you probably need to go ahead and build a real schedule and write out where your time is going to be spent. Initially, it might actually give you anxiety to write that out or it might stress you out. But the objective is to read it before you go to bed and to read it in the morning so that way, slowly over time, your subconscious mind and your conscious mind can become partners, business partners in this journey to help you to stay on track as much as possible. Because if you have a high distractibility rate, then you need some help. And anything you can do to get your subconscious mind and your conscious mind on the same page, to get your subconscious mind to be compliant so that every time you get distracted with shiny object syndrome, that you get back on schedule. That's the goal. So consistency is going to help you with that. Then the morning of, these are the things that we recommend. One is that you go through and you reassess yesterday. You go through and reassess yesterday. Why? Because sometimes when you're doing this late at night, just before you go to bed, you're a little tired, mentally fatigued. And so getting up when it's fresh and you just had a good night's sleep, you wake up, you can go through and add anything else that you may have missed or correct anything that you may have documented incorrectly. And hopefully over time, you'll start to see those patterns. If you're a person that gets distracted easily, you'll start to see the patterns if you write it out. So go through and update your information from yesterday on how you did and add anything that was missing. Okay. Number 2 is to review and update your weekly priorities and your weekly habits. There should be priorities every single week. What is the main thing that needs to get done this week, no matter what? Those priorities are more than likely coming from your monthly plan. So for each week in the month, there's week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. There's typically a list of priorities of things that are important that need to happen in that week. And they may be connected to the timing of something else. So I'll use the example of creating your Valentine's Day listings. You need to do that before Valentine's Day because people are buying Valentine's Day gifts. Now, they want that in advance. They want it to arrive on time. Same thing with Christmas. Like, people aren't buying Christmas gifts on Christmas. I mean, some might, just depends on what's going on in their world, but they're typically buying them in advance. So you need to make sure your stuff is listed. So deciding what is my threshold or my window in which I want to make sure that my listings are always created. If your window is a 10-week window, if it's an 8-week window, if it's a 12-week window, again, staying consistent. So you're going to have to always be looking ahead and going, okay, 12 weeks from now, this is the event. So I want to make sure that these things are listed. This is the holiday. This is the season. This is the whatever. So go and look at what the priorities are for this week so that you know what you need to do when it comes to your priorities, where your focus and your energy should be. Also, what are the habits that you're tracking? Habits like being consistent about creating your listings. You've documented your habits for the month of January. If you didn't do the monthly planning session, I would encourage you to do that now so that you know what to do the remaining 3 weeks of January. But what are those habits that you're working to maintain, be consistent about in 2023? And specifically in the month of January. So if one of your things is like right out the gate, I'm going to be consistent about creating listings every single day. I'm going to push myself to do 5 listings every single day, no matter what. Then that's the thing that you want to see. Did I reach that? What were my habits that I'm tracking? And then you probably have some personal ones like drink more water, go for a walk, you know, balance your budget, any of those things. Meditate in the morning, read your Bible. There's probably a list of things that you're working to build as a habit so that way it's something that is going to be on autopilot for you. Number 3, again, I mentioned already, which is looking at your monthly plan and seeing what the agenda was for this week. Number 4 is to review the schedule that you drafted last night. Definitely go through and review it or rewrite it, update it, because as you were sleeping, sometimes your subconscious mind is developing solutions to things that you wrote down and says, no, you're not going to be able to do that because you needed to do this first, or you need to go check that first. So you'll wake up and have all these ideas and be like, why is that? Well, you wrote out your schedule the night before. Your subconscious mind was trying to problem solve all night. And when you woke up, it handed that information over to your conscious mind and said, hey, you can't do this at this time because you have this other thing, or you got to do this other thing first because blah, 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 blah. So just go through and review, edit the schedule that you wrote. And if there's no changes, fantastic. If there are changes, make updates to it. And then after you've updated it or it's set in stone, 1, make sure that you've identified the main thing so that if nothing else goes right today, you at least get the main thing done. And number 2, that you write out, that you speak it into existence. Speak it out loud, read it out loud so that you can hear yourself. This is what we're doing today. These are the things we got to get done, whether it's in checklist form or schedule form. This is what has to happen today. So it's a reminder as the day goes on, you can get back on schedule, get back on track. And then number 5, write out a draft schedule for tomorrow. Definitely write out a draft schedule for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, so while you're at it, go ahead and write out your Saturday and your Sunday so that way you have a draft schedule for what you're going to be doing this weekend and you can make progress towards those things. Last but not least, thinking about things that are going to happen in the future that's going to impact your ability to sustain or maintain this consistency that you're working to build, the schedule that you're working to build. So I need you to think about the bigger things that may impact you. Maybe you have a routine where you work your business from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock every single day. But then for whatever reason, you have a bunch of doctor's appointments first thing in the morning. It's like, oh, why did I schedule those? Let's go reschedule those for the afternoon. But your doctor has no openings and you got to get this appointment done. So what you do is you make adjustments to your schedule so that you still engage in the activities that you're working to be consistent about. So you start moving things around. So look at the next couple of weeks, the next couple of days, and the next couple of weeks. What are the things that are potentially going to impact your ability to be consistent? And start putting together a game plan or a strategy to maintain the consistency while addressing whatever it is you got to do. That way you have a better opportunity for success. The beginning of the year is that time of the year where people will start something and they will be consistent for a period of time. And then something comes along and it causes them to, break that pattern that they're working to build. It'll be a pattern interrupt of some type, whether it be, oh, my son got a broken wrist. And so I'm not going to go to the gym in the morning because I need to make sure that I go to the school and talk to Billy's gym teacher about XYZ. Okay, whatever. Or my child is sick and I can't go to the gym this morning. So there's always a reason and it's a justifiable reason. And so we embrace that. And that first break in the pattern is it creates a landslide. And it just happens over and over again. Well, I'm not going to go to the gym today because I don't feel like it. Well, my knee sort of hurts a little bit. Well, you know what, I didn't lay out my gym clothes before. And so you're always looking for, or you're taking the opportunity to embrace any excuse that presents itself. So you go from going to the gym every single day, 7 days a week, to now you're down to 5 days a week. Now you're down to 2 days a week. And then now you haven't gone to the gym at all. And in April, you're still paying that monthly gym membership that you've never gone to. So the point is, put things in place so you can be successful. Think about what's coming up, how that's going to impact your routine and your schedule, and figure out how to work around them so you can maintain and sustain your consistency that you're working to build. So, with that, I hope this information is helpful. I hope that you tune in tomorrow for the weekly ecom planning session where we're going to be planning out next week. I hope that you'll share this out with a friend, let somebody else know about the daily ecom planning sessions. And with that, my wish for you is that you have an amazingly blessed, extremely productive, and highly profitable day. We're still live on Clubhouse, and I'm going to say goodbye for now. So if you want to talk about your business, let's continue the conversation.